Moving into our dream home was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives. A quiet cul-de-sac, a perfect view of the hills, and more than enough yard space for our kids to run wild. It was the kind of place you usually only see on HGTV. My wife and I had worked for years, saving every penny, until finally it was ours. We wanted to start off on the right foot, so we even baked cookies for our new neighbors, hoping to make a good impression. That's when we met her. Karen, president of the HOA, blonde bob, arms always crossed, and a voice sharp enough to curdle milk. She didn't even bother introducing herself. Instead, she stormed right up our driveway while the movers were still. Unloading boxes. You can't just move in without checking with the HOA, she snapped. I blinked at her. ID? We literally bought the house. We've got the deed, the closing paperwork. Want to see it? Her eyes narrowed. Paperwork doesn't prove you belong here. You should have contacted me first. My wife and I exchanged a look, unsure whether she was joking or just plain crazy. Then, without another word, Karen spun on her heel and stomped off. But the pit in my stomach told me one thing. We weren't welcome. That evening, as we set up the living room, our 13-year-old son Jaden came downstairs, eyes wide. Dad, Karen's outside again. She's on the phone with someone. I peeked through the blinds. There she was, standing at the end of the driveway, gesturing wildly and staring right at our house. I cracked the window just enough to hear. I'm telling you, they don't have IDs. I don't think they belong in this neighborhood. Then came the words that made my blood run cold. I'm calling 911. At first, I thought she was bluffing, but Jaden had been watching from his upstairs window. He crept up behind me and whispered, Dad. I recorded everything on my tablet. I turned to him, stunned. You what? He nodded, his eyes gleaming. She didn't see me. I got it. All. We had no idea then, but that recording was about to change everything. What started as a petty neighborhood spat was about to explode into a scandal that would shake the entire HOA and expose Karen in a way she never saw coming. 15 minutes later, flashing red and blue lights painted our walls. A police cruiser crept down the street like it was hunting fugitives. 2 officers stepped out, cautious but alert. Karen waved them over as if she were directing an aircraft carrier. That's them, she declared, pointing at our house. I've never seen them before, and they refused to show ID. I think they might be squatting. Ma'am, you said they were trespassing? One officer asked. Yes, Karen huffed, hands on hips. They just appeared out of nowhere. And we have strict HOA move-in rules. They're supposed to register. By then, I had already stepped onto the porch, my wife trailing close behind me. I raised my hands slowly just to be safe. Evening, officers. We're the Thompsons. Closed. On this house 3 days ago. I've got the paperwork right here. One of the officers glanced at Karen, then back at me. Do you have some ID and proof of ownership? Of course. I opened the manila folder I'd prepared. Inside was the deed, the closing documents, my driver's license, even our new utility bill. Karen folded her arms again, scowling. That doesn't prove anything. People can fake documents. My wife finally snapped. Karen, do you ever mind your own business? The officers exchanged uncomfortable looks. One of them told Karen, Ma'am, this looks legitimate. There's no reason to escalate. But Karen wasn't finished. I don't feel safe. What if they're criminals pretending to be homeowners? That's when Jaden walked out onto the porch, clutching his tablet like a trophy. His voice was steady. I recorded her. Jaden, wait! I started, but he was already tapping the screen. Suddenly, Karen's own words filled the night air. You can't just move in without checking with the HOA. I don't care what paperwork they have. I'm calling 911 and saying they don't belong here. That'll get them out. Karen's face went from smug to pale in seconds. One officer blinked. Ma'am, did you just admit to calling 911 under false pretenses? I was concerned, she stammered. The second officer shook his head. This isn't neighborhood watch. You can't just weaponize 911. That's misuse of emergency services. Karen tried to backpedal, but it was too late. The flashing lights had already drawn a crowd. Neighbors were gathering at the edge of their lawns, phones out, recording every second. The HOA queen of the cul-de-sac was unraveling in real time, and my son's recording was now evidence. Karen stood frozen, lips twitching, desperately scrambling to twist the narrative. But the truth was out, and there was no way to spin it back. Jaden's recording didn't just stay on his tablet, it spread fast. One neighbor a few houses down uploaded it straight into the neighborhood Facebook group. Within minutes, the comments were pouring in faster than Karen could even try to explain herself. Is this real? She called the cops because they didn't report to her? One person wrote. Another chimed in. This is exactly why I've been dodging HOA meetings for years. Karen turned back toward the officers, her voice suddenly sweet as sugar. This has all been a misunderstanding. I only wanted to protect the community. But the older officer wasn't buying it. Ma'am, he cut her off, his tone sharp. You misrepresented a situation to emergency dispatch. That's serious. At minimum, it's a civil violation. The younger officer glanced at us. Do you want to press charges? That question caught me completely off guard. I looked at my wife. She just shrugged, her expression calm but firm. Jaden stood steady, tablet in hand, ready to press play again if anyone dared doubt us. We just want to be left alone, I finally said. But if she tries something like this again, absolutely. Karen forced out a weak laugh, pretending everything was fine. Well, that's a relief. Just a little mix-up between neighbors, right? Now that we've cleared it all up, we can move forward. Wrong. The crowd wasn't leaving. In fact, more neighbors were stepping closer. Mrs. Patel, an older woman from AE down the street, spoke first. Karen, you reported my nephew 2 years ago when he parked in front of my house. Said he looked suspicious. Then Andrew, who lived on the corner, added, she tried to fine me for putting up Christmas lights before December, said it violated HOA rules. Turns out it didn't. And that was it. The floodgates opened. Complaint after complaint poured. Out! Petty fines, nasty anonymous letters, social media posts, all traced back to Karen. Her grip on power wasn't slipping, it was collapsing right in front of us. You've been bullying people for years, someone shouted. I move we... Vote her out of the HOA, another voice called. Karen's eyes darted around wildly. You can't do that without a meeting. There are procedures. Then let's schedule one tomorrow, another neighbor shot back. Karen stormed off, furious, but we all knew it was over. Her reign as HOA president, self-appointed and self-important, had finally been challenged. Back inside, I gave Jaden a high five. Kid, you might have just saved this whole neighborhood. He grinned. I just pressed record. 2 days later, the emergency HOA meeting was held, but not in someone's living room like old times. No, this one took place at the community center, and it was packed. Word had spread like wildfire. The viral video of Karen's 911 call had even been picked up by a local news segment titled HOA Harassment, Power Trip, or Public Safety. Karen sat stiffly at the front, trying to look composed, but her usual smugness was gone. The few supporters. She had looked uncomfortable, and the rest of the room. Let's just say no one was there to defend her. The bylaws were clear. If enough members demanded it, a vote of no confidence could trigger new elections. And that's exactly what was about to happen. One by one, neighbors stepped to the mic to share their stories. I was fined $50 for planting tulips that weren't on her approved list. She told my daughter her dog was too aggressive because it barked once. She warned me not to have a garage sale, said it would attract the wrong crowd, and then it was my turn. I walked up with Jaden at my side. We moved here hoping to find peace, I said. Instead, we were met with hostility and intimidation. She weaponized fear against a harmless family just trying to unpack. Then I turned to Jaden. "Want to play it one more time?" He tapped the screen. The recording echoed through the community center, clear as day. By the end, people were shaking their heads, some even booing out loud. That was the last straw. The vote was held right there. The result? 86 in favor of her. Removal. 3 against. 2 abstained. Karen shot up, red-faced and trembling. "You're all going to regret this. I kept this place in order!" "No!" someone shouted back. "You kept it under your control!" Thunderous applause filled the room as Karen stormed out. Her reign was officially over. For the first time since moving in, I felt real relief. Week later, the new HOA board, elected fairly, openly, and with transparency, welcomed us with cookies and genuine smiles. The kind that weren't followed by threats or citations. Jaden became something of a neighborhood legend. People jokingly called him the mic drop kid. Someone even gifted him a shirt that read, "Always recording" in bold letters. We came here, searching for peace. What we got was a battle, but in the end, truth won out, and it all started with a 13-year-old and his tablet. If you think Karen got what she deserved, hit that like button. And tell us, what would you do if someone called 911 on your family like this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories where the truth always comes out. Sometimes, from the most unexpected places. New episodes every week. Hit the bell so you never miss the next one.